Hello, and welcome to another Grit and Grime basketball podcast. We're back. Hit the celebrations.
I'm not even gonna try. It goes wrong every time.
Who's that? We got to rev it up. Who else we
I'm too
got,
old.
man?
I'm too
Three
old.
to the head, and I don't know. The claw.
Usain Bolt.
Oh yeah, you got to tap the wrist. Kobe after the 81.
Let's go.
All right, we're back in. Hello, welcome to another Grit and Grime basketball podcast. This is episode 108. We're moving towards the 110s. It's coming soon. We've got another week of basketball in the books, and we are going to jump in with some observations and things that we've seen around the league. But before we do that, we want to pay our respects to Paul Westphal, who died at the age of 70 this week. He was a legend around the league, won a championship with the Boston Celtics in 1974, Havlicek and them boys. He then left the team and 2 years later was back in the finals with the Phoenix Suns against the Celtics. Wasn't able to get the win, but he then went on to become a manager with the Supersonics and also the Suns, who he led back to the finals in 1993, where they were beaten by the Jordan Bulls in 6 games. So yeah, may he rest in peace, and all love to his family and anyone that knew him and is suffering at this time. Whew. All right. So I've been watching a lot of basketball this week.
That's
haven't
good.
had much else to be doing.
It's important.
It doesn't look like we're going to have much else to do in the coming weeks. So one of the things that I've noticed when I'm listening to the broadcasts and things is that, and it's been happening for a little while now, it's people talking about the mid-range being dead. And then also we've had some chitter-chatter about the big man being dead. So we wanted to do a segment called Ball Don't Lie, where we prove or deny whether these points raised are actually true. If we start with the mid-range debate, I think basically the reason this keeps coming up is just because Michael Jordan came into the league shooting a crap ton of mid-rangers. He's the best player of all time. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. And now that people are moving away from that model, there's complaints about it, right? Because if it's good for him, then it's good for us, then it will be good forever.
I don't agree that that's the reason why. I can see it, I understand it, but I think it's because of the basketball nerds out there that did all the maths and shit. Because of the analytics and because of the realization that basically going for threes or very easy and high probability twos are a much more efficient game and a much greater sort of a chance of actually getting you more points, has led to a less diverse game, because you're sort of saying this is exactly what we're aiming for, and we want to have a high density of these two types of shots, and everybody knows that now, and everybody is doing a very similar thing. And I for me, I think that's where people don't like the move away from the mid-range.
Yeah, I think that to think about to talk about mid-range and 3 shots, think when the game actually changed. In my opinion, it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when Steph kind of like became a really, really big player, started winning a lot of games, started introducing this fast-paced, get to the 3-point line and, shoot, and started winning, right? So teams also realized that you can be very efficient if you only practice this and you have higher probabilities of scoring the 3-pointer if you shoot it earlier in the possession. And I think that's something very important. People stopped thinking, I want to be like Michael Jordan. People started thinking, I want to be like Steph Curry, right? And that is the biggest difference, I think, that brings these changes in the mid-range shot. And it is, I mean, we're going to see the numbers later, and we're going to talk about the numbers. And it is a lost art in a way, but there are so many players anyway, and this is a completely different story, that still, shoot it and shoot it well.
Yeah, I mean, if you can shoot the 3, then you generally can shoot a 2, right?
Generally, remember Bruce Bowen. He was a fantastic 3-point shooter, but that's all he did. He shot 3-pointers and defended Kobe Bryant, and that's it.
Well, defended or kicked in the face,
Right? Hey, he was still like all NBA defensive team, right?
That's a form of defense, That's
the best defense is offense, right? Like,
exactly. I think it's a mix of what Mike and Jose have said. It's like it's the guys who started to look at numbers closely, maybe too closely, and think that basketball is like baseball, when you can, if you watch Moneyball, movie with Brad Pitt, when they build that teams with just substituting players with people getting better numbers. I think that's what there's a bunch of people are trying to push that into basketball, and that combines with Steph Curry's coming up and changing the game. Steph Curry is like the Shaq. It's like Shaq came in and he changed the game. They changed the rules because of him. Yeah. It's the same with Steph Curry. They've not changed the rules. I think I believe they've not done
only
that.
In the All-Star game. Or Big 3 at least.
Big three.
You had the 4 points.
I think it's a mixture of both. It's like people starting to look into numbers and people admiring Steph's game. But I think to me, what my opinion about it is that it's not a matter of shooting more threes. It's just that if you look at the game now, there's almost no more post-up games. There's nobody inside that can, or there's very limited numbers of players that can change the game or change the outcome of a game. There's a big guy, right. Before, if you look at the 90s and the 2000s, you had all these massive big guys. You had Tim Duncan, you had Shaq, you had Kevin Garnett, who was shooting from the outside, but he was also able to do both. And now it looked like it's a lost art, and shooting long mid-range twos is just also a lost art. Again, like we did for doing the prep. Shout out to Norris Cole. Norris Cole is still the king of shooting mid-range twos. So I've got to put him in there. He's cool. I like Norris Cole. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's I watched the game the other day. And it's just shooting threes and threes and threes. And it's like, come on, I'm a 3-point shooting machine myself, and I was like, it's too much of a good thing.
Gosh,
stepping on your style. Basically.
I'm sorry, Steph. Sorry to bother you.
Well, Dave knows. Dave knows.
Thing is, with so many players, and by the way, Kevin Garnett was more of a big man than any big man in the NBA right now.
Right.
And even though he was a modern man for his time, because he could play any position in the court, but when you consider that every player on the court right now is shooting threes, that means that defenders are also expecting the threes, so they will defend the 3, but they will kind of concede, and let you shoot the 2. So if you're a consistent 2-point shooter, you can really make a game of yourself. You can make a name of yourself, and have a solid game like they'll do. And something really interesting to me was I was reading some stats from previous seasons. Let's talk about the 16, 17, 18 Warriors with Kevin Durant, arguably one of the best offensive teams in history.
Yeah.
Right? Their mid-range shot was amazing. When they shot it, of course, compared to the 3-point shooting, it was a lot lower, right? But that's because they shot less, but they were really efficient. So if you know how to combine the two, you're absolutely amazing player. And I think that's something that a lot of players are still doing. Like we just said, like, for example, Kawhi Leonard can do it very, very, very well. Kevin Durant still does it.
Mm-hmm.
And these are players that can create their own shots. So that's super important to them.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on, Dave.
I've looked into some of the numbers as well, and while I do believe there are like a handful of players that still take the mid-range shot, the actual numbers in terms of attempts have definitely fallen off. So I think I looked at 97 and 98, and then 07, 08, and I looked at this year, and in 97, 98, I think Jordan led the league in mid-ranges with 13.5. 07, 08, the leader had dropped to about 11 per game. I can't remember exactly who it was. And then this season so far, Russell Westbrook is the leader, and he's taking, I think, 7.8 per game. So you can see there's been a drop-off. But what I found interesting was actually between 98 and 2008, the general numbers, like the team that took the most mid-range shots and the team that took the least, and the median had stayed about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the game didn't really, as you said, Jose, it didn't really start to change until the last few years, where more and more teams are picking up on this. And I think it's important to state that, first of all, the mid-range, it's not bad to take a mid-range shot. It's just less efficient than taking a three-point shot or a shot at the rim, just because the shot at the rim is easy and the three-point shot is worth more. And above all of this, more important than any of this, and I think this is what's changed more so in the last 2 or 3 years, is the emphasis on getting to the free throw line. And the fact that you can draw 3-point fouls is another huge reason why players are taking the 3-point shot over the 2-point shot, because they're going to get even more free throws.
That's such a good point. I think that I remember when I played, like a million years ago, and if I ever fouled anybody taking a 3-point shot, I would get benched for the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would get screamed at by my coaches, and you never playing again in your life, something like that. Right now, it's so common.
Yeah.
And players are finding very creative players that take advantage of this, like Steph. Harden is the main one. Even Kawhi does it, exactly. Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young, did you see what he did the other day? Like, oh my God. Anyway, this is a different story. But I mean, yeah, I think that you make a great point. Like, players are taking advantage of that. And it's smart. Why wouldn't you do it? You can get 4 points out of each possession. Absolutely, go for it.
But again, that comes out of the analytics, right? Like if you look at the points, the percentage of getting those points, like there's a clear priority sort of order, and I don't think I don't think they had that sort of in the 80s and sort of 90s. I don't think somebody put up on a board and said, this is the priority order that we want. We want open layups, then open threes. Like it's sort of like I don't think it was spelled out in that way. And I think if you went and asked the current class of NBA players, they will all know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest difference.
I found this blog that was written, somebody on medium.com. I don't know if you guys saw it when I did a little bit of research. I don't know, Dave, if you looked at it. Where he's broke down, like he wrote very specifically the difference between a 2-point shot and a 3-point shot based on the 2019 season. I'm just going to read through it real quick because I think it's a good point to I think the value of a shot in the NBA, as in like it's better to shoot threes. Sorry?
Points per possession.
Yeah. So it's that. So he obviously starts off with saying that obviously making a 3-point shot is it has more value than a
Yeah.
2-point shot. Rather simple, right? Reading into it. So a 3-point shot is 50% more than a 2-point shot. If you think about it, great, more numbers. So it's so it's a more valuable shot, but they're not equal because obviously a 3-pointer it's further away from the basket and it's harder to make than a mid-range or a layup. So, and he then goes to argue, says a shot's value is most practically defined as expected point per shot. In 2019, NBA players had an average 3-point field goal percentage of 35.5%. So if you multiply this percentage by 3 for the number of point per shots, you get an average value of a 3-point shot of 1.07. NBA players made a mid-range shot at 40.5% clip in 2019, valuing them at 0.81 point per shot. So a 3-point shot, even though your average or percentage shooting for it is lower, the value of that shot would be 1.07, a 2-point shot. So in terms of analytics, it's an easy, straightforward decision to make. It's like chuck as many threes as you can, you know.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the implementation of it, though. It shouldn't be chuck as many threes as you can. It should be who on the team can shoot 35% or better, and you get them to shoot at those from those spots.
I put that grossly, but yes, that's exactly it.
But even then, if you go back to what Jose was saying, like if you are that threat, if you can get an open 2 rather than a contested 2 or a contested 3, then you know it's a more worthwhile shot. But you have to be a threat, Ben Simmons. You have to be a threat to open that sort of avenue and have that lane. Right?
Yeah. And then also, if you are someone that can shoot 50% from mid-range, then by all means take mid-range shots. Because, again, when you look at the value per shot, as you've just broken down, Tom, it will be just as high as a 2-point shot. And that's where I think you still get the specialists taking shots from those ranges. I think there was one year where Kobe shot like 52% on mid-ranges, and if you're going to make it at that clip, then go ahead, bomb away, because it's going to be just as efficient as a 35% 3-point shot. But the problem that the mid-range people that are championing mid-range shots never bring up is that most people don't make 50% of their mid-ranges. Like you said, the average is 40%, and if you're not going to be that good at it, then you might as well as be taking 3-point shots. And that's where the way I look at it is, as a coach, if you're drawing up a play for a shooter, then the play should be drawn up for them to take a 3. Obviously, an open 3 is the plan. If then they are covered at 3 and they have to pump it, fake, and step in and take an open 2, that's fine. But it always bothers me when a play is drawn up for a player to take an open mid-range shot, when it's just like, well, just draw up the same play for a 3, and if it's not there, then improvise from there.
Nothing to say there. I agree. I remember I was playing for a team a long time ago, and it was back in Argentina, and we had an American coach, and he just I look back, and we were playing the Houston Rockets current basketball, like getting to the 3-point shooting. And I remember I didn't used to shoot threes. I didn't shoot threes until very late in my career, if you can call it a career. And I started shooting threes because of him. And he explained to me, if you're going to shoot the 2-pointer that it's, with 1 foot on the 3-point line or 1 foot inside the 3-point line, might as well shoot the 3. And that's exactly what you just said. Why would you take a 2-pointer or draw a play for a 2-pointer if you have the chance to do it for a 3-pointer? Just go ahead and do it, right? And you always have that option to pass the ball or to get one step closer if you have the chance. That's it.
Yeah. So we saw that with Jason Tatum's game winner the other day when he was at the top of the key. He managed to fake and drive by Blake Griffin, who stumbled, You just went in, took a 2, and they won by 2. Totally
Yeah.
fine. If the game's tied, you just need to score, right? It doesn't matter how you score.
100%.
I was just looking at more stats.
So
There's just
if we go,
some crazy stuff about the Rockets. I don't want to get into that. I want to have a nice evening.
yeah, I did look at like as I said, the top, median, and the bottom of teams that shoot threes, and I think that shoot mid-ranges.
Yeah.
And I think this season the Orlando Magic are top of the mid-ranges list with like 19 or so, and then the median's about 11, which is down from about 15 in those other years that I mentioned. And then the Rockets shoot like 4 or 5. They take 4 or 5 mid-ranges a game.
It's hilarious. I'd love to see how the Steve Nash Suns plot out on sort of the modern stuff. So I think they were the original blueprint, but they just didn't take it that far, right?
Yeah. They didn't have as many 3-point shooters. Like, let's think about that team.
They had
Stephen Nash. You had
Quentin Richardson,
Marbury.
Joe Johnson.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sure. But think about big men. Amara Stoudemire never shot a 3-pointer in his life.
Yeah. Well, that was it. Though. But you couldn't, like, apart from Dirk, you didn't really get 7-footers that were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
And when you can dunk like Amare, why
would you, right? and we'll mention Amare later when we talk about big men. But think about the coach. He was Mike D'Antoni, right? So there you go.
Yeah.
He was a visionary.
He was, and he is. Now he's at the Nets, and Kyrie and KD are bricking game winners.
Mid-range game winners.
Yeah. So let's just go around the table, and say whether the ball lies or not. Is it a lie that the mid-range shot is dead? I think my research kind of says that it's not dead, but it's on the ropes. It's on. It's I can see the droplets of blood. I don't know where it's run to, but it's left a trail for sure. Tom,
I think the article I've read showed the statistics, and it's like there's a drastic dipping in terms of numbers of mid-range twos that are taken. It's just close to 0 now in the NBA, and the 3-point shot now is like, I think every team's averaging like 30 a game. Just absolutely bonkers. So, it's I don't know if it's dead, but I think right now it's on pause, and it'll come back eventually one day when it's the new flavor. Yeah, you'll see. They'll change the rules. Something's gonna happen, and one day we'll be discovered, and you can actually go in the paint, or you can actually shoot from the free throw line without it being a free throw. We'll discover. I think it's on pause right now. I think in terms of the way it's played, we'll rediscover it. The next Jordan will bring it back.
Oh, Mike.
See, yeah. I don't think it is. I can't see a way back from here, because you can have a player that might sort of change it and play in a different style. But I think the way that sports has gone, and just the pure efficiency and mathematics of it just indicates to me that I don't think you will go back to that sort of trend. So
yeah, I agree.
I'm killing it. I'm calling it.
Oh, yeah. Time of death.
5th of Jan.
5th of January 2021. I have to say, it is a lost art, unfortunately. I hate to say it, because I really enjoy the solid 2 points mid-range. I think the players that know how to use it are still going to benefit from it forever, but if you have the chance to be a really good 3-point shooter, you should be a really good 3-point shooter now, and you're going to play for a long time in the NBA. So you should do it. So if any NBA player listens to this, just keep shooting threes, man.
Shoot more, if anything.
Yeah.
Ben, please.
Oh, God. Just won a game. Just go for one.
Since he took that corner three and made it, every game I'm like, oh, look at Philly winning big. Is he taking a three? Is he going to take a three? Is he taking a three? Is he going to take a three? Oh, man. Shouts to Ben Simmons.
Goodness.
And Norris Cole.
So, yeah, I guess if it's not dead, it's on life support. All right. So, our second myth to bust or not is the big man. Jose, do you talk a bit about specifically what you mean when you say, is the big man dying out? Because obviously we still have players 6'10" and above who are excellent players.
Yeah, when we talk about big men, we're talking about what we were saying earlier, the 90s and early 2000s big men that used to post up, big dunkers, had the hook, that had they would still, have the moves in the post. Like, I'm not saying everybody is a Hakeem Olajuwon or was a Hakeem Olajuwon with the dream shake, but they still have, agile feet. Think Shaquille O'Neal, 7'1", 800 pounds, super agile, even at his older age playing for the Celtics, he was still quite agile in the post.
Yeah.
So we're talking about those players, the Patrick Ewings, the Alonzo Mournings, the Shaquille O'Neals again, even let's think of other examples, like newer examples for the new generations. Andrew Bynum, right?
No.
Come on.
Hey,
he was an all-star.
He won a championship.
Fucking
He won 2 championships.
You can't go from
He was
Shaq.
an
I
all-star.
think that the drop was lethal for Mike there. You went from Shaq to
Hey,
Sure.
listen.
It's
Let's
rude.
let's think Dwight Howard early years.
Oh,
Dwight
there you go.
Howard.
I'm
Dwight
sorry.
There you
Howard,
go.
Yes.
Bynum had better post moves than Dwight Howard ever did.
I agree with
yeah,
that.
Cool.
yeah, actually he did, but Dwight was more agile and obviously extremely athletic. Won a dunk championship, like, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But
and didn't move
you know-
more than 2 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
Let's think Zach Randolph. He played up until a couple of years ago, and he was
Yeah.
really good in the post, right?
I think there's a few that
How
are
about
still
Cousins?
playing that have just evolved. Yeah, Cousins.
But Cousins
Brook
doesn't
Lopez.
really play in the post anymore. The only player
when he
that
used to
plays
when
in
he
the
used to on
post
the
this-
Kings.
There you go. He evolved his game. He adapted,
Yeah.
right? But the only player I think that still plays in the post is LaMarcus Aldridge. And that's
Oh,
it.
Embiid.
Embiid.
Embiid
yeah.
is the best
Well,
post
yeah,
player in the league.
Actually, yeah, because he has learned a lot from Hakeem, actually, and but the debate is how many big men or old school big men are still there in the league.
Robbie Lopez, man.
He's not.
Gosh.
Yeah, okay. So from that standpoint, yeah, it's very low. But I also want to, in the same way that we did with the 3-point shot, and talking about the efficiency of the shot, the efficiency of the post up has fallen. And I also think, actually, funnily enough, Mike D'Antoni was a big reason why that happened, because what he found when they looked at the numbers is you want to play at a fast pace to get lots of shots up so that you can make more shots, right? The aim of the game is to score more points than your opponent, and the more shots you take, the more points you have the potential to score, and you slow the game down when you have Mark Jackson. He was a point guard, but Mark Jackson posting up from the 3-point line all the way into the paint and putting up a shot. When you have Charles Barkley posting up for 15 seconds of the shot clock, and going in. And I think the biggest problem, and what rarely ever gets brought up when we talk about the death of the post up, is turnovers, right? When you look at the list of turnover leaders, and I brought it up here, who would you expect to be high on the turnover list, right? The point guard. They have the ball the most. they make the most passes, you presume. But actually, the number one on the list is Karl Malone.
Wow.
Then you have LeBron James, John Stockton, Bryant, Kidd, all players who have played a lot of years and have handled the ball a lot, right?
Sure.
So you expect them to be that high. Then you have Moses Malone,
Runs in the family.
the definition of a post-up big.
Center, yeah, absolutely.
They Thomas, a lot of years played point guard. Hakeem Olajuwon is next.
That you're surprising me with these numbers, man.
You have
Hakeem.
Hakeem, he's number 8 all time. Next up, Russell Westbrook.
Sure.
You would expect it. Ball in his hands, reckless with the ball sometimes. Lots of assists, also lots of turnovers. Number 9. Number 10, Patrick Ewing.
Oh, wow.
Fake news.
Right? And you can keep going through, and there's a bunch of big men. Reggie Theus, Tim Duncan, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Garnett, Dwight Howard, Mark Jackson, who's a post-up point guard, right? And you go down the list, and it's pretty much all either star players and star wings who had the ball in their hands a lot, or it's centers like Alex English. Charles Oakley's on the list in the top 40.
Charles Oakley.
Right?
Gosh.
And I think that is a big reason why teams don't post up as much. And you'll notice that a lot of the turnovers that Embiid has gotten in the past has been when he posts up and gets double teamed. It happens to AD as well. Post up, double team, and it's that, oh, there's someone coming to help, let me get the ball out of my hands, and they either throw a bad pass or someone sneaks in their blind side and steals it from them. And that's a big reason why the post up is less efficient. And I think D'Antoni actually said it's fine to use the post. You throw it into the post, you draw a double team, you kick it out again. It's fine to use the post, but in terms of actually posting up to score, it's not really your best option unless you have someone that is excellent.
And then add to
that
what you were saying earlier on about the 3-point shots with getting free throws on top of that. Usually when you foul a big guy, traditionally a big guy isn't really good at shooting a free throw. So you might make a 2, you get the situation where you get a 2+1, but a +1 is never really a done thing. It's not guaranteed that you'll get that +1. So it's why bother having that trying to get a 3-point situation when you can get you should just retrain your big guys to shoot threes like we see nowadays, right? So I think it sort of links with what you were saying earlier before.
Yeah, I think it's all. I mean, the game has changed so much. We keep saying it. I think we say it every week. I'm gonna give you my super personal opinion here. I miss the post up, the big dudes just hitting each other. You just mentioned Charles Oakley. He was a butcher, man. Yeah. Like, gosh, Charles Oakley against Dennis Rodman. Gosh, and Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing hitting Michael Jordan in the face, and Michael Jordan, dunking on their faces anyway. I really enjoy. I used to enjoy that, but yes, what you're saying is so true that players are more prone to turnovers when they're in the post if they're not good passers, because there are very few big men that were really good passers. Think Sabonis. These days Jokic, but Jokic doesn't really play that much in the post. He's more of a point guard than he is a post-up player, isn't he?
Chris Webber,
Chris Webber, he was an amazing passer. Even Vlade Divac, when they used to play together, and that Sacramento team was a really good team. Unfortunately, they were playing against Kobe and Shaq, prime
and
Shaq.
Against the NBA, and against the refs.
Sure,
but hey,
Tim Donaghy's betting book.
But yeah, just as much as I realize it's, and I think that again numbers don't lie. It's a lost art, and we can talk about it as well. But I just miss it, and I still, when I play, and again we go back to my old career, I still like to post up. Fun.
Go watch those elbows.
The clear up.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think it goes to a conversation I was having with a friend last night, actually, that there are certain things that are aesthetically pleasing about the game. And like we had one of those a couple nights ago when Steph Curry went off and scored his 62. There's something so exciting about watching Steph when he's in that kind of zone, and the handle and the threes and the fakes into drives, and then the fakes into drives into fake drives into step back threes. Like just watching him play is so beautiful. And the same could absolutely be said about a Kevin McHale post up, or Hakeem Olajuwon post up, or as he passed it on to Kobe in the post as well. Watching players do things so gracefully is truly beautiful. And that's in contrast to more of a power game that you saw from like a Shaq, or that you see from maybe Giannis or LeBron today. Yeah, there it is a shame. But again, if there was someone who could make the shots at a high enough clip and compare to a large one, I'm sure they would be allowed to do it, unless Ben Simmons was on their team.
Shots fired again. Oh shit.
No, but that's exactly it. I don't know. Like I think proper post moves and stuff like that, it is a bit of a lost art. But I think we're seeing much more players that are more well-rounded. You know, like your Jokic's, like how we've said, like the guys that were doing that have evolved. Like Brook Lopez steps out, takes the three. Even if you look at the rookies that are coming through, Wiseman is handling the ball, shooting threes, and then going and rebounding and D'ing up in the post. Yeah, even like Bam, you know, it's all over. And then you've got players like Luka putting Bam in a blender.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the post moves that he put on him.
Yeah.
Like that, I love seeing that. I love when you see sort of slightly smaller guys bringing out the post moves. That's always great to see. But I think that what we're seeing is much more well-rounded players.
I agree. Now, if you think about big men today, as in 6'9", 6'10" plus, give me your top 5.
Embiid, it's got to be up there, right?
Sure. Yeah, he has to be there.
Jokic.
AD.
Yeah.
Gobert.
How tall are we?
Gobert,
Giannis
really?
and KD.
No. Well, I mean, that's the funny thing. They fit the description, don't they? Giannis and KD are 6'11".
Yeah.
They're not
and I think that's part of the conundrum, isn't it? We don't call them big men, but they're big men.
Yeah. What about JaVale McGee?
He's shooting the 3-ball too. Higher percentage than Luka.
DeAndre Jordan's not. He's one of your true.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Boban Marjanovic.
Yeah.
Taco Fall.
But if I think before you used to expect, I think there's a shift in expectations also from GMs and coaches. It was like before you used to expect your big man to be only good inside, you know, close to the basket and grab rebounds and block shots, and that was it. Like you didn't expect anything. Nowadays, a big man. And I was reading this interview from a scout. Anonymous scout that was saying that now we're looking at big men. It's like if they can't shoot threes, like they'd be less likely to make the team, to make the cut, or we won't spend as much time looking at them and thinking about them and how they fit on the team. And now the big men have to be able to play inside if it's there to, you know, if that happens, they have to be able to shoot threes. They have to be able to play point guard almost, you know, bring the ball up like Jokic does, and they have to be able to pass the ball, and they have to be able to play defense on smaller guys, you know, and on switches and stuff like that. So it's we're no longer looking at big men, or they're no longer looking at big men as this guy that's going to stay inside, guard the paint on defense, and just being the the control tower on offense and just stand there and waiting for the ball to come in.
Yeah.
I think now that you've got to be gifted enough and good enough to do, be a tall point guard almost.
Yeah.
So
Tall wing.
who do you guys blame or credit for
The
the
Rockets,
shift in this?
of course.
Rockets.
James Harden.
No, I was gonna say,
James Harden
I
and the
don't think
Rockets.
so.
God damn it.
you just got rid of them. That's it.
No, I actually think I blame Michael Jordan, honestly,
Blasphemy.
Yeah.
because I think he came through and I don't know. Can I blame Michael Jordan? My thinking is it's him because with him the shift from your best player has to be a big man. I guess Magic and Bird came through and did this as well, but Dr. J before them. But for a long time, it seemed like you needed to win a championship with a dominant big, right? And I guess Bird and Magic did win their championships with a dominant big or two in McHale and Parrish and Kareem.
You're saying you don't need to. You don't need the big man to be your.
But Jordan won without one.
So you're saying it's not the big
Luke
man doesn't
Longley.
have to be your star player. Doesn't have to be your star player, but you need a big man in your team. That's what you're saying.
You needed, yeah. I mean, he played with a center, but he was probably the first person to win a championship without an all-star center on his team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
His second best player was Pippen. Third was Kukoc, who's a great, amazing player, but he's not a post-up big, right? Bird had Parrish and McHale. Magic had Kareem still.
Even Isaiah Thomas had some big men, like right. So
yes,
yeah, I agree.
And then he came through and did that, and it was like, oh, okay, well, you can kind of win without one. There were still dominant bigs in the league, and Shaq was walking around. You had to adjust for Shaq's existence.
Yeah.
But I mean, Iverson came in without a dominant big and lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jason Kidd came in without dominant big men and lost.
Iverson had Mutombo.
Yeah,
I know, but he wasn't a post-up big.
Offensively
Sure.
dominant.
But then if you think about it, after Jordan and after Shaq in the Lakers, you still had
Shaq
Duncan,
won again.
you still had Duncan and Robinson, right? And then Robinson Pau Gasol,
Kevin Garnett.
And Duncan won his last championship in 2014, and then Steph era came. So it was almost as if Tim Duncan was the last big man.
Yeah, and I mean,
Dirk is not a post-up. I mean,
and that was before. That was 2011.
He did.
That was 2011.
You're
also.
right, 2011.
Yeah, right.
The hybrid. It's the hybrid.
I blame Sheed Wallace being the first guy.
What a player.
Ball don't lie.
They're a really interesting. That old Pistons team is the really interesting point in time.
They break all of these rules, right?
Yeah,
because
100%.
Yeah, they break all of them. Not having
Ben Wallace, like what do you do
a
with
star
that?
player? Yeah,
no superstars. Ben Wallace was a 6'5", 6'6" center.
6'7" or
6'7"
8,
maybe, but he would defend. He would block Shaq's shots.
God, Shaq, yeah. He was so
and then
strong.
You had Rip Hamilton wearing the mask.
Mid-range assassin. When I looked at 07, 08, he was top.
Tayshaun Prince, great defender. We can dedicate the whole episode
Darko
to that
Milicic.
team alone. Oh my god.
The original victory cigar.
Yeah.
Darko. Get out there, Darko.
Amazing team. Amazing team.
Good team.
Yeah, they were also really deep. They actually had a lot of players who went on to be almost stars off the bench. They had like Okur on the bench and stuff like that. People forget.
Oh yeah,
that bench was amazing. Yeah, they break a lot of these. But shall we go around the table to finish off?
Yeah.
Is the post up big dead? I'm gonna have to say yes. I think the post up big is dead. I don't think we'll ever go back to an era where we just throw it into the post and let them get busy, unless someone like Shaq comes along. But even then, I mean, he's just a once in a I don't know, century type of player. Because even if we had a Kareem today, Kareem would be shooting threes because he could shoot. Olajuwon would be shooting threes because he could shoot. Tim Duncan would be shooting threes. I don't know. Shaq was just so big.
He didn't have to.
He said himself he didn't have to do shit.
He was so big.
Nah. Just he would destroy anything. He said, "What should I work on my free throws? There's no point."
All the others I think would have been shooting. David Robinson, I think they all would have. Tim Duncan, I think they all would have been shooting if they came through today. Yeah. Kevin Garnett shot a few. Chris Webber would have been shooting.
Oh yeah.
Tom,
I think it's dead for now. Also, it saddens me because I miss Shaq. I think I had hope for Zion to be that guy, to be like a crossover between Charles Barkley and Shaq in terms of mass.
It's the linking factor,
but then you watch him play. It's just nothing to do with this guy who's going to be inside posting up at all.
Driving.
So I'm sorry about that. So I think it's dead right now. As of right now, it's not happening until the end of the 3-point era, which might change to a 4-point era. We'll see. We move on and we get like some big guys. I mean, it needs to be the only way I can see it change now if it's somebody like Shaq, like you said, like a once in a generation, a once in a lifetime massive guy that can destroy everything in his path, just comes up again. Then why not? But as it is now, I can go and cry somewhere else.
Mike,
I actually don't think it is. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get the type of era where we have every team that has a big man like it used to be, maybe. But I could definitely see some post-up play coming back, and I think it's kind of what you guys have been alluding to, that it goes so far to one side where you had like teams like the Rockets not even fielding a guy over 6'7". If you have somebody like that and then they come up against somebody like Embiid that could just abuse that and then shoot like 65-70% from the rim, like that's how it would change. And I think basketball does go in trends, and it is based loosely on sort of talent and who's winning championships. So on ice, maybe, I don't know what you might say, but I don't think it is. I think it could come back a lot sooner than what people think.
Hope so.
But I think that they will probably shoot more threes than they ever did. Always. I don't think that's going away.
Jose?
Tough one. I think I don't think it's going to come back as much as I would love it to. You guys mentioned Shaq. If we ever get another Shaq, I have to agree with Shaq in that we have another Shaq, and that is Giannis. He's a Shaq adapted to today's NBA. When Shaq came to the NBA, he was a massive dude, bigger than all the rest. Right? Think David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Oakley, think Arvidas Sabonis, all these big dudes, right? And then you had Shaq, who was just a bit bigger than them, right? Or probably a lot bigger than them. Giannis is doing that, and Giannis still dominates, right? So I don't think we're ever going to see another Shaquille O'Neal. It's just going to be different variants of that dominance. And I don't think, anyway, we're ever going to see a player as dominant as Shaq ever was. As much as I would love it to, I don't think that post-up game is going to come back.
I think the only difference is, though, that Shaq was never taught, like, here's some guard skills, right? Nobody was interested
he didn't have
in
to do
teaching.
it.
Exactly. So, but Giannis did. He grew up with guard skills like that. That's always been part of his game. I don't know. It's we are in a different era, and I think US high school and college basketball trains the guys in a different way than they used to. So maybe you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Shaq did have good handles, and he was a good passer. But I mean, he knew where his bread was buttered, and his mindset was such that he was going to dominate. I do think it is worth mentioning that, like you brought up earlier, Mike, with Doncic using those post moves on Bam, there is actually a small crop of players who aren't big men who can play in the post and occasionally will play in the post if they get a mismatch. Like Westbrook was doing that last year. Doncic is mentioned. Obviously, LeBron posts up from time to time. And we used to have players like Chauncey Billups using the post, Andre Miller. Sam Cassell. Who would post up out of from the point guard position and elsewhere. So the post moves will stick around hopefully, but the post big, I don't know.
If you want to widen your horizon and go and look up some European guy that never had to make it across the NBA. I know Jose is looking at me now. I'm gonna drop a name. The 90s kid will like it. The 2000 kids will like it. If you watch European basketball, Dejan Bodiroga. So if you look at him, and if you just look at him, just Google him, YouTube him tonight. Go Dejan Bodiroga, Carmelo Anthony. Just look at that.
What a player!
You look at that, and you tell me like the guy was he was a point guard, small guard. Yeah. Just look at it. You'll see how footwork and post up moves. Like he made Carmelo his biatch on like 3 or 4 plays in one game. But not only that, like across Europe. Like anyway, it's one of those guys that should have. But...
he won the 2002 World Cup, by himself.
Yes, pretty much by himself.
Argentina in the finals. I remember watching that game live, and that guy took over the overtime, and amazing player, Dejan Bodiroga, and he didn't go to the NBA not because of lack of offers, because he just didn't want.
He didn't want to. It's like why?
Yeah, happens for sure. Fran Vasquez never made it over.
Fran fucking Vasquez. Now come on. Not in my watch. Not under my watch.
No,
you will not.
Just because he's Spanish.
Again, fucking Fran Vasquez.
I wasn't comparing.
We can have an entire episode about the Spanish national basketball team. You don't even have to speak. Just roll the camera, and I'll speak for an hour. My love for that team.
Your love. All right. So now that we've killed off 2 areas of basketball, let's talk about things rising.
That's what she said.
Gosh. Yeah.
Anyway, back with a vengeance, guys. We wanted to pick our comeback players of the year. So this actually used to be an official award. It is no longer, but we feel like this has been a year where quite a few players have come back from injury, even though we've lost a couple to injury, or quite a few players who were in a bad place are now in a good place. So assuming people continue as they've started, who might your comeback players of the year be? Who wants to go first? Who has one and doesn't have any others that they would like to talk about? I'll go last.
I can go first.
Go.
I don't think he's done amazing yet, but I think there's the potential there, and it's Victor Oladipo. He's in a decent team as always. The Pacers are always fighting for a spot there. He's lost a bit of his athleticism, as you would after an injury. But I would really like that player to be, he wants to prove everybody else wrong, and he wants to just be his better version, I think. So just because of his spirit and what I've seen him done in the past, what I've seen him do in the past, especially when he played for Orlando, such a good player. And I would really like him to be the comeback, story of the year.
Yeah, he's gone from scoring 14.5 points per game up to 20.8, 2.9 assists up to 4.7, and 3.9 rebounds up to 5.5 in only 4 minutes more per game.
There you go.
Bad.
Do one of you want to go? Mike, Tom?
I'll take it.
Go on, Mike.
It's KD. It's KD, guys. Come on now. Let's not mess about. He's gonna be up there in the MVP conversation.
Wow.
And he came back from a serious injury too.
Mm-hmm.
Dave wrote him off after one preseason game. We all heard it. We got it recorded.
On record. It's on record.
It's right there.
And he's come back as KD was. And it's great to see.
Yeah.
I think the Nets aren't doing it as well as what I think they will do by the end of the
There's only
season.
one team in New York.
The ratings say otherwise, Tom.
Fuck the ratings. The ratings don't make you win games. I don't care who's 4-3 right now. As in the words of Trump supporters, stop the season. Stop the vote. Stop the count. Let's do it. Get to the playoffs now.
Oh man. That's
Never
too
a
funny.
good look. Never a good look.
Right, so I'll pick the elephant in the room, which is Steph Curry. I was in between KD and Steph, but then Steph scored 62, and then he had another 38 last night, something like that.
Yeah.
He's on fire. I think Green being back helped him out also to get some nice screens and get somebody else to move the ball. So yeah. But I picked him as my MVP, so it's only one pick for me.
Don't you think it's so interesting that at least I find it for myself that we were just talking about big men and how much we enjoyed, that post-up game and the guys hitting each other, and then Steph, scores 62, and you're like, oh my god, that was the best game ever. You're like, fuck big man, I just want to see 3-pointers.
Yep.
62 points. 60.
Amazing. How fun was that to watch? I watched the highlights 3 times. Gosh, so good.
But last time you went wild for highlights like that was Klay Thompson, when he scored
61.
How much was it? 61 without dribbling ever.
2 dribbles,
4
I think.
dribbles.
Yeah.
4.
So you're like, come on, that's fun to watch. It's as fun to watch as Shaq dunking all over some Knicks. So it's fine.
Pushing him.
Dudley.
Chris Dudley,
Chris
legend.
Dudley. Rest in
That's the
peace.
Chris Dudley.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going with Steph. I am going to go with. I'm going to decide on the spot. I'm going to go with someone who wasn't injured. Shouts to John Wall, who's been excellent. But I'm going to go with Paul George.
Oh.
Shooting
Pandemic.
50%. Shooting 50% from 3. Killing it. Even he's playing alongside Leatherface. While Leatherface is 4 for 21, who's bringing it home against the Suns? You guessed it. Paul fucking George, mate. MVP trainers. He's having another MVP season.
Yeah. He's up there.
Top of the West.
I think it's possible.
I mean, to be fair, he did sort of disappear. Maybe he got snapped by Thanos last year. I don't know. Something happened, but he's back now. I mean, there's no denying
It was
that.
Trez was getting in his way. Clearly, it's obvious.
That's
all
obvious
it
now.
took.
You can see it.
That's all it took. But yeah.
I love to see him play properly. We talked about it last week. I think it was extremely unprofessional what he did for Christmas, but he's a fun player to watch as well. You just said it, almost 50% 3 points. That's amazing in 7 games. Like that's really good. Playing 33 minutes a game, that's decent. So yeah, I mean, why not? Hopefully, it's a success story. But we have to see him perform in the playoffs, don't we?
He's
Give him,
playing.
That's
give him
it.
the MIP.
He can't redeem himself until the playoffs, in my eyes. Essentially, right?
Agreed.
That's it. I should have picked up that stock last week. But we'll get back to it.
So race home, man.
50-40-90 club. 49.2% from free, 92% from the 93% from the line. Balling 25-5-5. The old elite wingman stat.
He's all right.
I think. Yeah, no, that is really good. If he keeps it up for the whole season, then that is a great season for anyone.
What was his stats line in game 1? Did he score like 33 on opening night or
on the
first game?
Lakers? He scored about 20 points in that third quarter. I don't know. It was a lot though. Yeah.
That's the thing though, because they still. I remember going on Twitter the next day and I was like, "Oh my god, he sucks. He's so bad. He's crap." And then I looked at the stats and looked at the highlights. I'm like, "Did we watch the same game or something?" I think his image has suffered a lot.
Yes.
From last
Yeah,
season.
it has. And even with the players, apparently, I don't know if you saw him and Devin Booker getting into it.
Yes.
Where Devin Booker was calling him soft, and after Paul George was telling him to watch his mouth, but he was interviewed afterwards, and he said, I think a few people have gotten it twisted. They saw me go through a rough time in the bubble, and now they think that I'm someone that I'm not. So yeah, they're treating him differently out there on the court, but he continues to play well, I think even after their little back and forth, he still hit a couple of shots to close out the game when Devin Booker couldn't. So, he backed up all the talk this time. And that's always good to see. So I did just want to bring up the fact that Becky Hammon became the first woman to coach an NBA game when hit the round of applause. I miss my sound effects. When Greg Popovich got himself kicked out of the Lakers game at the weekend on Friday, I think it was. So shouts to shouts to her, and hopefully she gets a job in the league soon, because she's been an assistant long enough to be considered for some of these positions that are popping up. And
chances are she should, because there's a lot of disciples of Pup's disciples that gets jobs everywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out that brilliantly often, but they do get the opportunity to go somewhere else and try to prove themselves.
A little mini university over in San Antonio.
Exactly.
I think we discussed this the other day when we were talking off the record, but the fact that she obviously is a milestone for women around the world, but it shouldn't be, right? Because it's of society. But I love what Coach Pop said, that he's not surprised and he doesn't think it's a big deal, because she is super qualified. So she didn't get hired to make history, and I quote him. We didn't hire her to make history. We hired her because she's qualified and she's good at what she does. So and I think that's the most important thing, to show that anybody can do it. So that's amazing. I think it's very, very, very big in my opinion. And interesting fact about her, she actually didn't play for the USA national team. She played for Russia, because she's an American Russian. So she played 2 Olympics for Russia.
God damn.
Yeah.
Is she a Trump supporter?
Donor, actually.
Maybe. Would that make you happy, Tom?
Hey, we all know about that Russian connection,
What's this? She works for Facebook?
She works on Facebook.
Oh man.
She's got shares in voting machines.
Yeah, no, shout out to her. And when we had our meeting, we were saying that, she has X number of years as a point guard in the WNBA, has played internationally. She is an experienced, very highly qualified person for the job. It's no different to, if anything, she's more qualified than, say, a Steve Nash, who
100%.
is coaching in this league, having never been an assistant, only been a consultant. So I'm sure it will happen at some point. And whenever the question is brought up of whether players will listen to a female coach, I can't remember who made the quote, unfortunately, but the person said, are you kidding me? Like, men grow up listening to their mothers their whole lives, and their grandmothers and their teachers, and almost all, if not more so than men, women are the life coaches of men around the world, everywhere. So a female coach would do absolutely fine being listened to by the players.
Imagine rocking up at work and like your manager is a woman, and it's like, nah, I'm not listening to you. Like, that makes no sense.
That's still the mentality in some places.
Where's your penis?
Clearly.
Where's your penis? Show me your penis first, and I'll listen to you. It's a weird thing to say. Cut that.
Weird.
Something today, man. I have Nikola Jokic in the house today, the Joker.
Oh shit! I haven't been outside for like 3 days.
Do you want to lockdown?
So that means that we can expect this from you from now on.
And maybe I shouldn't go outside.
Go to the supermarket, man. Please, they're open.
For the first time, I'm going to let you open the window, Tom. Let some air in.
It's warm out here. Yeah, I know.
All right, man. So, yeah, congratulations to Becky Hammon. And hopefully we see the first female coach in the league very soon. Other than that, little news bits, Durant has come into contact with someone with COVID-19. He's going to miss 4 games. So they're, I think they're 10th in the East. That position could take a hit over the next few, look at this guy, over the next few games. Or we're just going to get to see Kyrie drop 60, which is great. But yeah, I think we'll finish up there. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, share, subscribe, review the podcast. Watch us on YouTube. Hit the bell, subscribe, pass on the word, spread the word. Let us know any feedback. If you're going to give us a review, 5 stars, please, and get us at us on socials at Grit and Grime Pod. So from me, your host David Sagoe, I'm out. From Thomas Arnal,
I'm going outside now for a walk. Goodbye.
You better do that alone.
Alone. In the dark.
Do not talk to the public. Not even for COVID. Just
from Michael Downey.
Good night.
And from Jose Garcia Vidal.
Cheers, guys. Have a good week.
Bye.
And we're out of here.